Hi, everybody. Welcome
What a
back
doozy.
to the Rewinds Rewind, episode 3. Very much a tale of two cycles, I think, where there wasn't a lot going
God.
on in the first half, and then nominations got locked in, and shit went sideways. Hi, I'm Jackson.
Hi, I'm Shanks.
Piss, piss. Shit, shit.
Oh my God.
Oh
Graham.
my lord.
And I'm Sydney, the female minority hire.
The headline of the cycle, Devin evicted in a 6-5 vote over Joey, the closest vote in BB Rewind's history. We obviously ended this cycle with this half the house voting incorrectly and this big split vote. So how did we get here?
A mess. A mess is how he got.
We can go through the boring parts of this week first.
Yeah, if I'm being so for real, not a lot happened before nominations locked. Right from the get-go, Nicole and Donnie win head of household. It was largely a luck competition, but there was definitely some strategy into it. And I would say that Nicole enacted the most amount of strategy in it. She went in completely planning on throwing and then saw all the cute fairy type Pokemon on the playing cards, and it all went out the window. And
To each their
I believe
own.
she had like 3 times at least everyone else's score.
9,600, and the next
Yeah.
highest score was
Yeah,
like
and Donnie was the next person with like 3,000 something. So
Yeah, it was such a throw from Nicole this week, and not a throw in the sense of her throwing the HOH, a throw in the sense of her throwing her game by winning HOH. It was just, it made no sense for her. I think we had house guests even talking about it. Like, Cody was making fun of her in the DR for like throwing her game, clocking that Nicole had an incredible social position and was incredibly set up and perfect, and that she just let that go for absolutely no reason. If Nicole hadn't won HOH this week, she would still be in our #1 spot in the power rankings, probably. But
then now she can say she won Fairy Week and no one can take that away
true.
from
Not
her.
only did she win Fairy Week, but she
she
swept
swept.
Fairy Week.
She swept
She not
Fairy.
only won HOH that she didn't need to, she also won veto that she didn't need to.
Let's not skip past the Battle of the Block where Mr. Beast Mode Cowboy
Caleb just cannot.
He cannot be killed.
Yeah, he can't be killed. He said he's going cockroach mode, I believe is what he said.
yeah.
These people, I feel like it's like the definition of insanity. These people keep nominating Caleb to get him out, and then he wins a competition, and they go, "Oh my God, why did Caleb win this competition?"
It's so
So
interesting to me that they're continuing to do this, but I think the thing is that none of them really care enough about trying to get Caleb out
Right.
to actually
yeah.
go through. And I think we talked about it, I think Swan talked about it last week of like, because of the way Battle of the Block is set up, it would require like at minimum 4 pawns from a united effort, and no one
Mhm.
wants to pawn 4 people at once just to get, again, in their mind frame, just to get quote like Caleb out.
And this battle in the block in particular was not close. Brittany came in planning hours, and I mean hours ahead of everything. Meanwhile, Devin and Joey could barely find the time to do it. Then
Mm-mm.
Joey did it on her phone.
Yeah, she did it on her phone. She didn't even put the puzzle together. She just kind of like
Like pieced it
guesstimated
together with her
looking at the
eyes.
numbers on the individual pieces. Um, and she somehow got all of her shapes and numbers correctly based off of that, which good for her, I guess. But Devin, with like, he was using his computer, he was using his phone. It very much was what Shinx just said. There were these two people who went out of their way to actively, like before the competition even happened, like work together to figure out what was going to happen. I think Brittany even made example like Google slides
Mhm.
for her to
Yep.
work with and to like go and see if there's any easy mistakes that she could make, and then like ask questions and like clarify with what she needs to do. That way she's very prepared. She's a very like cerebral person, as we've seen. And while that is socially off-putting to a lot of these people, it certainly helped her here when it came to this Battle of the Block that was a little bit more like complicated and in depth than one of the ones we've seen previously.
If this was in real life and they were going side by side, Caleb and Brittany would have finished before Joey and Devin made any progress.
I don't know how Devin managed to get the correct order to Joey, but then struggled so much getting his own numbers together. Because like
It's kind of like a metaphor for his game the rest of that cycle.
but
Messy,
yeah,
chaotic, made no sense.
made no
He did
sense.
try.
Tried a
He
couple
just
different
tried and
things.
failed.
Yeah, tried
Yeah.
and failed. It really was not even close. There was not an ounce of suspense in
Like
the
7
tunnel
minutes to
that we posted.
35 or something
Yeah,
like
it
that.
was literally like Brittany and Caleb blew them out of the fucking water.
We're kind of skipping to the good parts of this cycle because this cycle was really backloaded in terms of like actual content and like entertainment to talk about.
Yeah.
Because Donnie also wins HOH and then puts up Brittany and Caleb in order for them to do that well in the Battle of the Block. That was a little bit of a contentious situation. Nicole put up Devin and Joey, who she viewed as like easy noms. And so people were wanting Donnie to put up Christine and Caleb as the other set of noms. But then Donnie ends up putting up Brittany, which some people batted an eye about. I personally didn't think it was that much of an issue because Brittany had won HOH and put up Donnie. So it was actually kind of an easy nom, even though Brittany was more like insulated than like Christine was. Donnie really didn't want to make another enemy. And he could put up Brittany with like, hey, she put me up last week or whenever week 1.
Well, that's the
My
thing.
issue,
I don't have a
yeah.
problem with if it was just him, like, oh, well, Brittany nominated me. I can nominate her back and it'll be fine. My issue with it is that he and Zach planned for like basically all the cycle before this, try and get Brittany out and backdoor her. With that like frame and end goal in mind of Donnie being like, I want Brittany out. He like immediately folded the moment he got power and was like, okay, well, let's nominate Brittany. Like, even just that in itself, A, she gets the chance to win Battle of the Block, which she very clearly did. B, you put her next to Caleb, who also has won the last 2 Battle of the Blocks. C, even if they lose, she could very well win the veto as well. Caleb could very well win the veto as well. So even if all of these things don't happen and somehow Brittany and Caleb are still the final nominees at the end of the week, Caleb goes home like unanimously. Like Brittany's not gonna leave in any way or form in this. The only way to get Brittany out like this would be to have her up to like up next to someone of her similar caliber. Like it would have to be like Derek or like Nicole or Cody or like Jocasta or something like that.
Well, I think, but by that point in the cycle, not even that point in the cycle, just by that point in the game, because it had happened previously, Zach and Brittany had made up. So that Zach wasn't pushing nearly as hard in Donnie's ear of like, hey, we need to backdoor Brittany, because they really didn't want Brittany gone at that point. Donnie really just needed an easy nomination. So Donnie did not want to piss off like the major players. And here, and then going forward into next week, we do see that side begin to form with the vote split. Like we do see the sides kind of begin to come together. So where people are putting the puzzles together. But that's something Joey clocks even in this cycle. Joey clocks the exact 4 people in the 3 winners and a fun gal saying they're running the game, which she uses again, jumping ahead, but she uses that very cleverly to pitch later on. It's beginning to be a thing where people are beginning to notice like Cody and Derek and Brittany and Nicole, and they don't want to anger that side of the house because they have a lot of power and keep winning competitions and keep winning head of households. That is my defense of Donnie this week, is that they really didn't want Brittany out because of the kind of mended relationship and then like the fallout that would happen if you nominated, like if you went, especially because you don't want to put up 2 huge targets and then get dethroned and just basically have like 2 huge major shots and miss both of them.
I think that sums up pre-veto really well. And then post-veto, the people who needed the competition the most, being nominees Joey and Devin and potential renom Christine, all went in and shit the bed.
Going back a little bit, Donnie gets dethroned. Brittany and Caleb are safe. We go into veto draw. Nicole stays HOH with the nominees of Devin and Joey. Christine gets picked. Derek gets picked. Jocasta gets picked to play.
Yeah.
They go into it. Our lovely Big Brother Rewinds 11 alumni, Ray and Cherry, enter the house as Jeff and Jordan. Yet again, in an homage to Jeff and Jordan getting engaged inside the Big Brother house on real life Big Brother 16, we decided to theme this competition around their wedding and the Pokemon of love, Enamorous. Yeah, it's basically about who stole the ring.
Mhm.
So they can get married. And yeah, as Shink said, many people do not do well. There are 8 potential options. There was also the clue that give you a little bit more information about it that was worth 3 penalties. Christine gets the clue and then still takes like 5 guesses to it and gets 9 penalties, which seemed like it shouldn't be possible, but here we are. And then Joey didn't get the clue and still had 7 penalties. And yet she didn't guess every single person either. So that was a conundrum in itself. Jocasta was next after
No,
that.
it was Devin.
The-
Devin paused.
It's
At,
right.
it was 11:58. He was like, "I'm gonna make my guess at 12." In a competition where time is still important.
That was so weird because he put all of the witnesses out really quickly, and I was like, okay, he's probably just taking a second to read it. And then it was like 15 minutes later, and he still hadn't taken a guess. And yeah, it was like 11:57 or like 11:58, and he says, "Okay, I'm not sure who it is, but I'm gonna make my first guess at midnight." It
He
was
was wrong.
it was very Kathy in Big Brother 12 being like, I'm gonna
Taking
take
my
my
time.
time.
Mind you, he's
Can
on
I-
the block.
Yeah,
He's
and
on the
Brittany saying,
block.
"Oh, this one, you're gonna take your time on this one, Kathy. Okay, on this time-based competition. Okay."
Can I also add, in this veto, Derek wins second. I do understand if you're semi good at comps and you're thrown into this lot of people who are just a fucking mess. I
Really
do
hit or
understand how it's harder to throw comps in that environment because the bar is just so low. But at the same time, it's like Derek has such a comp beast threat against him right now. It's like you should be throwing these like egregiously.
Yeah.
the
Like you
fucking
should be like disqualifying yourself, like spending 30 minutes. You should be doing what Devin, who was on the block, did, which is I will make a guess at midnight. Like, but instead, like, but
Yeah.
it's like, so it's like part of me is like, I get it. Like you are trying to throw in a cast that where they try and they do so horribly. It seems like a throw when they're on the block and in danger, but also like, how do you keep doing so well? Like, at what point do you just start throwing? Like, be like Cody. Everybody knows Cody's throwing, but he's not a comp piece because he throws like a fucking dumbass, so no one knows what he's good at or not good at.
Yeah,
Just do
exactly.
that.
Every single
Yeah.
competition Derek has competed in, he has either gotten second place or won.
That's
Derek,
Every
just
single
insane.
Derek just needs to like say start, go do some dishes or something, then
Yeah.
come back and actually
Yeah.
begin.
We clearly stated that like the hierarchy is like penalty and time. I would have gotten like at least 3 penalties.
I did
Oh,
this.
yeah.
I tried to get 3. I ended with 6 when I did this last season. I was
Yeah.
thrown
Yeah,
at the
at
fucking
minimum,
wall.
ask for the clue to
'Cause-
automatically
Yeah.
put 3 penalties onto your thing.
Yeah, that's probably what I would have done. I would have like gone through it, been like, "Oh, I don't know. Let me get the clue to see." And then even if you did know, that way you could literally even be like, if people were like, "Derek,
Yeah.
what happened? How did you get 3?" I said, "Oh, well, I really wasn't sure. And I didn't want to like spend more time and go and read it back. So I
Yeah.
got the clue and did that, like, done, easy." Then you would have still gotten like third
Mm-hmm.
because Nicole ends up sweeping Fairy Week, as we said.
with a 0.
Yeah, and
Which is
because she
good
was
in this
the only
case.
one to just get 0 penalties. She had a pretty fast time too. I think she only took about like 15
She
minutes.
beat both of them by raw time as well. If it came
Yeah.
down to time, she would have
Yeah,
won.
so no matter what, Nicole would have won.
Mhm.
So yeah, she gets the veto. It's her own nominations, so she has no real reason to change anything if she wants to. She does give the nominees a chance to plead just because she would feel bad if she was just like not using it. Bye.
And I'll
Lost
also
it.
add one thing to that.
Yeah.
She had started, I think it was before either she won veto or before she used it, but she also, Nicole started being in her DR like, I actually like Devin.
Yeah.
Devin's pretty cool. Why did I nominate Devin, bro? Like, this was a mistake.
Yeah.
But it was too late at that point.
Way too late.
So
Yeah.
that was another thing. She was like, well, I'll let them plead their case because I kind of like Devin now. But like she knew she couldn't use it. I mean, it made
Yeah.
no sense.
And I think
Yeah.
there was also a little bit of time in between it because around this time was when Jocasta decided to go and make this 6-person alliance that is now called Shield. It's not even the first letter of everyone's name. They went through and literally just picked letters inside people's names. They could have spelled anything.
Any
Like,
word.
any word, and they did it like that, and they bolded the individual letters that were in each people's names, and you would think that they just like solved the Da Vinci Code. They were
In a
like,
way they
oh
did.
my god, guys, this is it, shield. And it's like the I from Nicole, and it's like the like S from Jocasta.
Acosta.
It's like, what are we doing?
The
You're-
H
And like
from
the
Zach.
they're
We could
the
keep
D
going.
from Cody or something. It wasn't even the D from Derek.
Derek was an E. They didn't have any
Yeah,
other
they
E's
took the
without
E
Derek.
from Derek. It was just like that. But it is this combination of all of basically like the center of the house right now.
Yeah.
Jocasta basically takes, well, she doesn't know about 3 winners and a fun gal.
Mhm.
She basically takes that alliance and adds in herself and Zach. From her perspective, she's taking the trio of the bellhops of her, Cody, and Zach, and adding Nicole, Brittany, Derek to it to make a 6-person alliance. They're all immediately vibing together really well. A lot of them are already working together to begin with. So after Jocasta forms that, Nicole starts, feeling bad about nominating Devin, is like, oh, I think I really want Devin to stay if we can.
Mhm.
Want Joey to go. And obviously, because of this Shield alliance, and Derek and Nicole are super close in the first place, and Nicole wants to protect Derek as much as she can, Joey like wants Derek's head on a silver platter. And
Mhm.
she is starting to want Nicole's head next to Derek's on another like gold platter. And she gives Joey a chance to pitch to her as well as why she should use the veto. And Nicole is basically like, well, thank you for your pitch, but I'm not going to use it. Which is nice in concept of like giving them the chance to plead their case, but everyone knew that she wasn't going to use it.
But also
Yeah.
it only goes to piss off Joey further.
Yeah.
Because Joey's
It
like, what was
does.
the point of all of this?
Yeah.
Like,
Why even have me like pitch and put in the energy if everyone in this house, all 14 people, know that you are not going to use this veto?
I understand Nicole trying to come from it. She's coming for that from a good place. But it really, what it should have been was a message to the noms. If she even, because I mean, everyone assumed she wasn't going to use it anyway.
Yeah.
But if she really wanted to like make a genuine effort to at least have some sort of communication so they didn't feel like she was just shutting them out, she should have just sent a message like, hey, I've thought about this. I just don't think it makes sense for me to change my noms when I'm head of household because I don't want to nominate another person. Sorry. That's all you need in that situation if you really are. But at that,
Yeah.
It was definitely another choice she made among many choices that were made this entire week by her.
Yeah. And she even said, well, even if I did use the veto, if she would have used it, which was still a very long shot, she would have used it on Devin to save Devin because she has this I like Devin epiphany. But the only person that I could put up is Christine, and I don't want to do that to Christine.
Mhm.
So she's like, I'm just gonna lock noms. So she does that. She locks noms. Devin and Joey are the final nominees. And rather quickly, like it's like the nominees lock and the cast like wakes up.
Shit hit
Yeah, like
the
to
fan.
reiterate, it has been days of nothing.
Yeah.
It was dragging.
They're like the only time there was any movement was during competitions.
Yeah.
That would like they had to be stirred to wake up, and between competitions and ceremonies there was nothing. It was
Players
dead.
were taking the week off. They were like,
No,
oh,
yeah.
no, like this is my
Even to the
skip
point where the
day.
players themselves were commenting like, oh my god, this week is really dragging.
Nobody gives a fuck about week 3,
Yeah.
Nicole or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Nicole said nobody gives a fuck about week 3 in public.
So imagine everyone's surprise when this seemingly straightforward, not even straightforward, like who should go home and why, but like this vote about 2 rather inconsequential people to about 90% of the house. There are people that like really want to ride for Joey and really want to ride for Devin, but it's like maybe 1 or 2 people on either sides in a voting block of 11 people. I think a lot of people thought that it was gonna be like Nicole's the one in power. She starts saying that she likes Devin and she wants Devin to stay. Nicole's little inner sanctum starts saying that they want Joey out, and they start throwing that out to everybody.
And then here comes Hayden.
Yeah, here comes Hurricane Hayden. Joey is Hayden's number one, Hayden's ride or die. They've had multiple alliances together now at this point. Hayden has saved Joey with the power of veto before.
He's a Joey truther.
Whatever her fan base is, it's Hayden. He's the leader of the fan base.
Hayden is the president of the blue hair she-theys.
If there's no Joey fans, Hayden is dead.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So Hayden hits the ground running and is like, who can we get? Who are we getting? He runs to his Diamonds in the Rough Alliance, which is Zach, Donnie, Hayden, and Joey, and says, we have 3 votes right here. We just need 3 more. Who can we get? And they identify Caleb as a person that could really easily be picked up. No one's really even approached him with strategy so far in the game.
He's just been getting put up by the same side that they're trying to vote against.
Yeah, exactly. So he's bound to be receptive to any strategic prospect, as especially one that is going against the very people that have nominated him the last 3 cycles.
He also just has a really good friendship with Joey, which is something that was interesting that kind of developed at the beginning of the cycle.
Yeah, that's true. Well,
Yeah.
Caleb and Joey won the very first battle of the block.
Yeah. So since then, they've been like building. That's like one of Caleb's few like actual strong social connections is with Joey.
Yeah.
So Caleb wasn't really ever going to vote Joey out in the first place. So they identified Caleb as a vote, and then Hayden makes this alliance with Christine because Joey was like, "Hey, Christine and I are close. Maybe we can bring Christine into the fold because I don't think she'd want to send me home." So then Hayden makes an alliance with him and Christine and Donnie.
Yes, called Let's Fucking Go.
And so then that's 5 votes right there.
Yeah, that's 5. So they just need 1 more. And it's pretty clear that Derek will be voting for Joey. They hate each other. They don't even really hate each other. Joey hates Derek. But Derek is rather nonplussed by the situation, but clearly
if Derek has no haters, Joey is dead.
Yeah,
exactly. Joey will send the trash gif and she's talking about Derek.
Exactly. So yeah, Derek will very obviously be voting for Joey, and everyone assumes that and is correct. Jocasta, having this new Shield alliance, really wants to do what they want to do. And she's not particularly close with Joey either. On top of that, Devin has been talking about really liking Cody and Jocasta and wants to make a 3-person alliance with them should he survive. So Jocasta falls in and adds on to the anti-Joey brigade with Derek. Brittany discusses in the alliance chat how it actually probably would be better for her if Devin went home and Joey stayed, because Brittany nominated Devin cycle 1. So Brittany was like, well, honestly, if I'm being for real, like if I was playing just for myself, I would probably want to evict Devin more over Joey, but I'm playing with all of you guys and I want to prove that I'm like a worthwhile ally. So I will vote to evict Joey with you guys. And then Cody is just like, Joey reminds me of this really bad Lana Del Rey song. So I'm gonna
Oh my god.
Cody don't give a fuck about cycle 3.
There's 3 people who we need to focus on here with this vote. It is Zach, Donnie, and Victoria, also known as the Thruple Showmans, who kind of swung this week, but weren't even really on the same page. Victoria literally was not here for a good portion of the vote. She sees the noms, is like, you know what? I like Joey more. 1. And 2, I don't want to vote with the majority. That's boring. I like them. They'll still protect me anyways. She goes up and makes that decision and it's like, yeah, Joe, I'm keeping you. Then she fucks off offline until the vote is due, basically.
Yeah.
Then we have Zach, has Devin exponentially higher than he has Joey. And yet, in the same vein of Victoria, is like, oh, I can cause chaos. I can form sides. I can make the stragglers go against Shield, and no one's going to come after me. He literally just wanted to form sides because he was in a position to form sides. And then Donnie, he was like, I want to work with Zach here. Zach, you tell me what to do, I'll do it. But I personally want to save Joey. And so Zach and Donnie get in the driver's seat of this entire vote, basically.
I would wager to say that they're not driving. They're just like
Yeah.
on the road and like looking at the steering wheel and just pressing the gas pedal. There's no
Yeah.
control over
Yeah.
this vehicle.
Honestly, yeah.
It almost flipped either way both times against everyone's interest. Like the Nicole faction almost flipped to save face. The Joey faction almost flipped because they weren't getting their shit together.
Yeah.
Like Zach almost aborted the plan to begin with because he was like, "Oh, this won't work," and then the votes formulated without him. Then he figured out, "Oh, this can work," and he gets it back on track. And then him and Donnie start getting cold feet, and then it's like maybe we shouldn't. And then Hayden has to fucking corral everybody together and say, "All right, who the fuck is doing this? Like, let's stop, cut the bullshit. Who's
Yeah.
voting where? Let's do this." And they finally get it all together. You think that's it? No, Zach is like, "Hey, can I throw my vote? I promise."
Oh my
Nicole,
God.
let's make it a 6-5. And like, that's a little shady, but sure, Zach.
Because
Yarr.
really, like rather
Chaos.
quickly, I would say Caleb locks in, Christine locks in, Hayden was never gonna not evict Devin. So that was already 3.
They were counting Donnie and Zach.
They were counting
because
Donnie and
Zach
Zach.
was a
Because
part
of the alliance.
In Zach and Donnie's whole plan to be like, we're gonna be in the middle. There's these votes here and these votes here. If we split our votes, it'll be 6-5. Except Zach didn't even really tell Donnie that he was gonna vote the other way. So they were thinking it was gonna be like 7-4 probably.
7-4.
And so there was all of that happening. Donnie's just telling everyone anything. They're like, yeah, I'll do this. Oh, yeah. No, I'll vote for you. I'll vote with you. I'll vote with this people. I'll vote with this side. Yeah. No, Joey's going home. No, Devin's going home. Like, I'll do whatever you want. Just tell me what you want. I'm on vacation. I'm so tired.
Yeah,
I'm
so
sleep
the,
deprived.
the problem is that Donnie and Zach are trying to engineer this 6-5 vote, but because of the way that they're doing it, they're not engineering anything. So the problem is that there's no way to actually count the votes because they keep telling different people different things, including the people that they need to vote certain places
Yeah.
in order to get a vote like a 6-5. So for instance, in the Amber situation, which I think was probably the most pivotal point, or once Donnie started having that conversation with Amber about the votes flipping back and forth and not having the votes and etc., Amber goes to Hayden and is like, yo, what's going on here? Because Donnie's all of a sudden saying we don't have the votes, even though like we do the math, we have the votes easy. It's because Donnie is telling Amber, yeah, I don't think we have the votes. Maybe we should just vote Joey out. While Donnie's talking with Zach and they're like, yeah, we're going to do a 6-5. We're going to do this. And it's like, why are you, when you're doing that kind of thing, especially when a vote is this particular, like this close, if anybody votes wrong, you're fucked. Like it's, if anybody votes wrong, the vote's wrong. And then Joey goes home, which is not what you're trying to happen with your plan, because they were trying not to get this traced back to them as if they were the ones,
which is hilarious.
yeah, which like LMAO, they were the only 2 people that could have possibly done it anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were not subtle about it.
Yeah, well, because
No.
they spent so much
Gotta remember.
time trying to mastermind this split the vote, make it so as close as possible, that everyone else around them committed to what they were going to vote for and was openly saying that to people. Even Zach ended up doing it by the end
Yeah.
and being like, I'm voting to evict Joey, to the point where everyone was like, okay, it's 5-5, and it depends on what Donnie does.
You just can't do that when the votes are that close. Their biggest problem this cycle was attempting to mastermind and being so non-committal that everyone else was able to suss them out immediately.
The way the vote was like rolling out with the Joey truthers coming together before the Nicole side could like, the Shield people could like pick anything. The Nicole people were like, I hear Joey putting up Joey, but Joey people were like, no one's saying that. You must be hearing that in your alliance.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
meanwhile, the Nicole side is like, you guys are voting out Devin? Who the fuck's voting out Devin? Should we just vote out Devin? And then Zach's like, no. Don't vote out Devin. Vote out Joey. And they're like, okay, I trust you, Zach. Like, he didn't want Devin to win. He wanted the split to happen.
What's so funny about Zach and Donnie is they're starting to become dysfunctional compared to Jocasta and Cody. Because like Jocasta and Cody are a very functional, well-matched duo.
Yeah.
Like they exchange information very well. They're very under the radar. Like they hold a lot of power and they're doing a lot of good things with it. And they're still managing to be subtle. And I think they just overall have weaponized being a duo in the way that like is iconic of BB Rewinds. I mean, you always need an iconic BB Rewinds duo. Zach and Donnie are like trying to be that and they're just failing.
Jackson compared them to two idiots telling each other exactly.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
But this
Especially
was a
by
messy
this point, all of these people are claiming their votes. Like Amber is voting to evict Devin. Hayden is voting to evict Devin. Caleb is voting to evict Devin. Christine is voting to evict Devin. Victoria is voting to evict Devin. These 5 solid people. And they think they also have Donnie and Zach because they're telling them whatever. So they think they're at 7.
So they're like
Mhm.
easy majority.
Yeah, they're like, oh,
Easy.
we got this. And then the other people are like, okay, well, we have like the Shield. So we have Zach Jacosta, Cody, Derek, and Brittany. That's 5. We just need one more. Like, it should be easy for us to get one more of these 6 people. Those 2 very different informations of both sides of this voting being like, oh, well, we got this. We have the numbers easily. It gets to the point where all of this information is just crossing and people are getting different things here and different things there that Hayden like has to put his foot down. And he's like, this is ridiculous. And he makes an alliance with Amber and Donnie and Zach and is like, what is happening? Hayden's like, I don't have very much time to like discuss this further. You 3 have told me in our own separate conversations that you are voting to evict Devin and saving Joey. Like, if that isn't the case, please tell me, and it's okay. But like, this needs to stop.
Yeah, and he really put his foot down in the sense of he literally like added Donnie in the chat.
Yeah.
And you have one-on-one specifically told me this, but Amber says in your one-on-ones, you are saying that we don't have the votes. So why don't we have the votes? And then he lays out every single member that has said that they're evicting Devin, and they clearly have the vote. It's like, it makes absolutely no sense.
And then we have Donnie making an alliance with Cody, Nicole, Derek, and Zach to further help make them vote wrong at this point, which is not doing him any other favors. Then Team Rocket's whole mission was voted on to accuse someone of throwing a vote, which they were going to do the Paola vote and just make it a joke, like, you're saying you voted off Christine as a joke in a fight or something. And that got derailed very quickly with this vote.
They basically got served their mission opportunity
on a silver platter.
On a silver platter. And was like, okay, well, we had this 9-3 vote last cycle. And that was kind of crazy. Like, why did 3 people vote for Christine? We can clearly frame someone for that.
Yeah.
So, like, as they're discussing this and as, like, the shit is hitting the fan around them, they're like, okay, what about this 6-5 vote?
I just think it's so funny how Zach's in his DR and in his one-on-ones with Donnie, and I know I kind of already said this, but he's literally in both of those, like, God, I'm such a fucking genius. Like, I'm pitting these sides against each other. I am creating the divide in this house. I stand in the middle. I will survive. And again, we have all the information. They don't, but just watching from the outside, I'm just like, holy fuck. Like, this is, in my recent spectating of Big Brother Rewinds, the most obvious, unsubtle, and on-the-nose attempt to split a house I've ever seen. Hayden's clocking it. Amber's clocking it. I mean, because they're seeing it happen, and Zach's playing all coy, like, oh, guys, like, I don't know what's going to happen with this vote. Like, I really want Devin to stay, but, like, I mean, Joey might have the votes, and everyone's like, are you, like, shut the fuck up. Like,
yeah, like,
you know what the votes
are you joking right now?
Yeah, I just thought it was so funny.
There was zero delay.
No.
It was like instantly, Devin, you've been evicted 6-5.
DRs light up. Like, oh my God, I cannot believe Zach did this. Immediately.
Devin on the way out.
Not subtle.
It was incredible. I've never seen anything like it. It was like,
because it wasn't just 1 or 2 people too. It was just about everybody. It was like, Zach did this.
Every single person.
Victoria was the last to vote. Had she shown up 30 minutes to an hour earlier, the plan could have shut down. And if Hayden didn't have the chance to like corral them together, Victoria or Amber or Donnie themselves could have just flipped and Joey's gone. But Victoria took her sweet ass time to get here. And by the time she showed up, everything was locked in and she was able to just be like, okay, I like this. I was doing it anyways, so thanks.
And she was
Then
doing that anyways because we
Yeah.
talked earlier about Joey clocking this 4-person like core alliance. She
Yeah.
did that with Victoria.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
She wanted to
so
shake
that
things
was
up.
another main factor of like, well, me and Joey, like, we're kind of locked in right now. Like, we really think we have a good, and they do. They have a good grasp on like the power structure of the house right now. And Victoria is like, these people don't care about me. Like, and I'm directly aligned with the people that these people want to go after. I was like, I can't, she's like, I can't support that. But she also did want to be a little chaos gremlin.
There are the sides forming. There is the like Victoria, Hayden, Joey. But the whole problem is that the side isn't fully developed enough.
No.
Yes.
Well, because
But
the thing, the
Yeah.
shield, like mainly the 4, like the 3 winners and the fun gal,
yeah.
The
are
fun
like,
gals,
well, Joey
basically.
doesn't just stay 6 to 5 randomly.
Yeah.
They're like,
Yeah.
this doesn't just like come together because people are like, well, I like Joey. So they're
Yeah.
thinking like there's this contingency that has formed against us.
Mhm.
And like sort of kinda like Hayden and Victoria and Joey, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. Those 3 are against them for
Mhm.
sure. But then you come into the problem of Zach and Donnie want to play both sides. They're extremely non-committal and will jump from ship to ship if they think it's the right move. And you have Amber, who even says herself she likes Cody and Nicole and really wants to work with them. Amber even said in her DR, she was like, I should probably work with these people, but I love a good underdog.
Yeah.
So that's
Amber's
why
playing
that's
for herself.
yeah, exactly.
Basically.
So Amber is not a reliable number for this grouping
No.
of people.
No.
And then your other 2 are fucking Caleb and Christine. This cycle was like finally kind of a coming out moment for the both of
They were
them to
born.
have some strategic agency and do something that actually benefits them.
Which I'm glad because
Yeah.
I've been wanting that for the past,
And that's what we've wanted
however
for the
many
past
days.
cycles.
Yeah.
For
But
sure.
the both of them still just have really like 0 social capital. Caleb
Yeah.
is genuinely only here because he keeps winning competitions. And Christine is expendable. Like she very well could have been nominated this cycle and gone home this cycle. And she very well could have gone home cycle 2 if
Yeah.
Paula had like actually had some like chutzpah about it. It's a solid like 3 people that are actively engaged and like really want to go against this. And then everyone else is just like either self-serving or really not the people that can actually do something about it.
They're just votes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then
Yeah.
because of this, the other side of Nicole, Derek, Jocasta, Brittany, Cody, they're like, they're already close to begin with and genuinely really tight. But now they have this even more added pressure of this entire group is working against me. We have to group together to like stay alive.
Oh,
this,
yeah.
This cycle was a little slower in the beginning, but by the time we hit that like second half, it really shot up and things got very exciting and very fun.
Devin goes, he calls out Zach. Zach has confessed his 6 to 5 to most people. Those who he hasn't confessed it to have already suspected that it's him. And as we head into week 4, his entire alliance is mad at him. And his other new alliance trusts him, but is sus of him. So it's like, what did you really gain?
I don't
for
even
what?
think he gained anything. If
I
I'm
don't.
being
Yeah.
honest.
All he did was
He
goo.
lost. He lost
Yeah.
stuff. Devin trusted him more than Joey did, and he trusted Devin more than he trusted Joey. Like there was no true
Yeah.
gain except
It
being a chaos
really
demon.
any
And doing it
possible
badly.
yeah, any possible advantage or strategic like boon that he could have gotten from this like went to hell in a handbasket as soon as him and
Yeah.
Donnie decided to get cute with it.
Yeah.
Which I love. I love Zach. If you listen,
No,
back
it
to
was so
it was
entertaining.
messy, bro. It was crazy,
And it was like genuinely like a nail biter. Like I didn't know what the fuck was gonna happen until it happened. But it was like from a gameplay perspective, it was terrible. All the votes come in. I think everyone was shocked.
Yeah.
There was the half of the people that were shocked that Joey stayed and Devin went home. And then there was the other half of the people not shocked that Joey stayed and Devin was evicted, but shocked that Joey only stayed by 1 vote, and that was
Mhm.
so basically everyone's blindsided for one reason or another.
Yeah, and for even
Yeah.
embarrassed calculations for the Joey contingent, it should have been 7-4. So I just it
Yeah.
was just a mess.
It was
Hashtag Team TV.
hashtag Team Fun Feeds. Let's go through real quick for people that maybe didn't get as much insight into.
Oh, I do want to talk about the Amber situation because it was actually really interesting because we talked about Amber serves Amber. Amber is only here to play for Amber, which I love.
As she should be.
Yeah. The thing that was really interesting to me was after Hayden, Amber then makes another alliance with Donnie and Zach called the Swings and is like, I think we're the swing votes. What are we doing?
Mhm.
And so it's just really interesting to see that happen because that kind of again shows that even though Amber kind of voted with these people, she's still like self-serving the whole time. Again, as she should.
And that's what I want in a Big Brother player.
Yeah.
Because then Zach and Donnie immediately exposed themselves in the alliance more so than they really have with anybody else.
I mean, the alliance is called the Swing, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
And Zach's like, yeah, we want to make 6-5.
Amber's
Why
like,
are we-
okay, well, I'm voting for Devin.
But it was
Yeah.
interesting to see Amber have this moment stepping out of it.
Yeah.
Even though that there's all this like kind of stuff going on, she still has like the awareness and the ability to understand like exactly who the swings are and like where the vote's going.
Yeah.
And I think she could be really pivotal going forward.
And I think it's even more impressive because she isn't in like all of these alliances.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
These 2 alliances, the 3 with Zach and Donnie, and then the 4 that adds Hayden, are really her first like legit alliances that she's in. They weren't even alliances, they were like,
They're group chats.
can we figure this out?
Yeah.
And even then, with all of that limited information, she's able to like kind of take in all the pieces and be like, this is where it's at, and this is what I want to do. So this is what's gonna happen.
I think one thing that's interesting about Amber too, in contrast or in comparison to Zach, because Amber and Zach have a lot of elements of their game that I do think are similar, and they're obviously very close in each other's orbit. But I think Amber is willing to embrace chaos, but only if it really has a purpose for her own game,
Yeah.
and she clocks it really well.
Mhm.
Zach says that he does things chaotically because they're good for his game, but he really is just playing for chaos.
Yeah.
Like
Mm.
Zach is totally willing to make choices that could tank his game just for the fun of it. And I think they're connected in the sense that they both are fun and witty and both chaotic. But Amber looks at Zach sometimes and is like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, because she's coming
Yeah.
from a place of purpose where he's coming from a place of literally just chaos.
Yeah.
And I think that's where she starts to be like, I don't know what the fuck you're on, but like, I'm not doing that.
We touched a little on Brittany. I would honestly say this was like a net positive week for Brittany.
It was fine for her.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad.
It's better than what she had going on last week.
Yeah.
It was
because
worse for more people than it was for
Yeah.
her, I would say.
she was nominated and she immediately was like, we're winning. We're taking ourselves off the block. And she did exactly that.
She like wrote out the rules back in like
Mhm.
competition for dummies for herself
Yeah.
and for Caleb to understand and be like, all right, we're honing this shit in.
And
Yeah,
also,
definitely.
she has, through whatever means, won over one of her biggest detractors from last cycle in Zach. And
Mhm.
Zach doesn't even
Yep.
want to target Brittany in any sense at all anymore. Caleb did have a bit of a hey, I'm here moment when it came to the vote.
Yeah.
I think he could have done a lot more with it. It really started and stopped with, again, kind of the same old story of Caleb wins the battle of the block. Okay, I guess we'll try and nominate him again next week. I think he really could have milked him voting for Devin to save Joey a lot more than he could have. I think he was too quick to be like, I'm voting for Devin and I'm saving Joey. And everyone was like, okay, great. We can move on to other people. Caleb's locked in. I think Caleb and Christine had a lot of the same things going for them. They have
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
move of
Mhm.
evicting Devin and voting for Joey, and they finally start somewhat working with people, but I just think they committed too early. Make them work for it a little bit. Like at least
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
an alliance or something out of it.
Yeah, this is their first moment in the game, both of them, where they really have some sort of like power or some sort of like social leverage they can use. They
Yeah.
just don't really do anything with it, unfortunately.
Yeah. I think they definitely move up for this cycle in itself just because they had a lot more agency themselves and did what was good for them and wasn't just kind of like pawns in the other players' games. Moving forward, they're largely just still in the same spot. I will say, Hayden does seem to like Caleb a lot now, and they've finally kind of
Yep.
connected. So that could definitely be something because I could very well see Caleb sticking around just solely by winning competition a little bit. Hayden, I'm sure, can see that his side struggles when it comes to the department of winning competitions. And Caleb could be a very useful member to these people. Like
Yeah.
Hayden
Naturally.
might not even have to win HOH to take this shot at these big people because Caleb could be the one doing it for him. I need Caleb and Christine to like lock it in. Like this is a good start. But like you can do so much more with this, and you can be such like useful allies and numbers to these people. You just have to make yourself present that way, and they're just not doing it yet.
We need them locked in, not locked out.
Like Amber.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Cody didn't really have a lot to do this cycle.
Anybody who was like shields, like Cody, Derek,
Jocasta.
like they were all kind of, which sounds so weird to say in a cycle this like jam-packed, but they were kind of like non-factors here. Like
They were just numbers,
yeah. All
honestly.
they did was vote for Joey and think that Joey was going home. You know what
And
I
then
mean?
it didn't happen. Like that was where it didn't stop pretty much for all of
Yeah.
us.
Next we have Devin, rest in peace, same placement. A lot less messy than the real Devin. And yet still just as bad read.
Yeah, I will say I don't think Devin himself was as messy as the real life Devin, but the situations around Devin
Yeah,
in
he kind
this
of just
were
set
as
himself
messy
up.
as
Very unlucky.
Devin himself, if that makes sense.
Devin should not have gone this week,
No.
and it's unfortunate, but alas, he joins legacy of people who match our replacements. So good for him.
Yep.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
And if you're gonna go out this early, crazy way to go. Super
Oh
memorable.
yeah.
Yeah.
Devin had some great moments. Like I Need Loan will stick with me for a very long time.
So amazing.
Yeah, and just his absolutely out of nowhere reads in his diary room are so lovely.
So wrong
Love
and so
Devin.
confidently wrong.
Yeah,
He will be missed.
he will definitely be missed. Joey did a lot. Joey really, because there was a very easy opportunity for Joey to just be like, oh well, I guess I'm going home finally. And she did
Yeah.
not do that. She was like, I'm fighting to stay here. Yeah, she
I just
absolutely.
give more of the credit to like Hayden for like rallying and Zach and Donna for controlling the week.
I don't even think a lot of the people would have even been there for Hayden to put his foot down if Joey hadn't laid a lot of the groundwork with
Yeah.
Amber and with
Yeah.
Caleb and Christine and these like crucial votes in this.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
So let's move on to our MVPs and our Lisa Vanderpump LVPs.
Woo!
Let's go.
Is there anyone in particular that would like to go first for the MVPs?
I was just gonna get this out of the way because I truly can't think of anyone else who deserves it except Joey or Hayden.
Yeah.
And I have to give it to Hayden on the virtue of he was on the block and he wasn't one vote, 30 minutes away from going home.
Yep.
Like, yeah, Joey put in the work, but I think Hayden at the last second, like, all right, got your ducks in a row. Like,
Yeah.
I'm giving it to Hayden because he gained the most from this week
Absolutely.
without having to do that much.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna give my LVP to Donnie. While he was in the bones of this week, he like mostly deferred a lot of it to Zach and messed up a lot of the plan on his own. Like Donnie, if you're gonna be chaotic, at least like filter your chaos. You know, like I still love Donnie.
Yeah.
Still rooting for him, Team Beard, but like that was just not the greatest showing. Yeah, that's my MVP and LVP for the week.
I'm just gonna go right next because Shanks and I have the exact same MVP and exact same LVP. I don't think this week was as bad as last week on the LVP front in terms of the amount of people sabotaging their games, as in like everybody was doing it last week, whereas this week it was just like a couple were doing it, but they were doing it really hard. But yeah, my MVP, I really don't think you can give this to anybody other than Hayden this week. I mean, you guys might have differing opinions and that's fine, but like Shink said, it's really down to Hayden or Joey are the only two people that visibly improved their positions this week. And on top of that, Joey was literally 30 minutes from going and like one vote from going home. So I was like, I don't think you can really give it to Joey. So it has to be Hayden for kind of commandeering the troops and getting stuff back together. My LVP is Donnie, just because it's all of the cons of Zach without any of the pros of Zach. I think that's the problem with Donnie this week, which is sad because I gave Donnie my MVP week 1. longtime pod listeners will remember. So it's really sad to see it come to this, but it's like the level of mess was just too much.
My MVP is also going to be Hayden.
Yeah.
As it's been said and will continue to be said, it's between Hayden and Joey for me. And Hayden was just in far less danger. And I think it takes a lot of balls to be presented with a bunch of information and think you know what is happening or what's supposed to happen. I think a lot of people would just kind of crumble almost under that, or just be like, well, I'll just put this in and I hope this happens. And I think it takes a lot to go that extra step like Hayden did and go to the exact people and be like, we need to lock this in and have it work. So I think that deserves all the props in the world, especially for this cycle. My LVP, I am gonna go with Caleb because it again, like it's getting better now, and it almost makes me want to put him LVP even more with this, knowing that there is that spark of like strategy and like it can happen here. We know it's there. He finally stepped up to do some of it. So I just want to see more. We know he has this physical aspect of the game like on lock, like he can do it, he can reliably win competitions, and that is something he can fall back on. But I really want him to match it up with his social and his strategic game and be this like great player that I feel like is under there that just hasn't gotten to come out yet.
I wanted to be different and do someone else for MVP, especially because I also do trainer of the week. But I just have to give it to Hayden too. For all the reasons you guys said, I won't repeat them. The only thing I will also add is I do think it also is even more meaningful considering that Hayden had such like a big misplay last week in the messy POV use. And he really had the chance to turn it around and make this week be a big momentum game for him. And he did. And thankfully for him, it also ended up being a big fuck up for a lot of people who are on the opposite side of the house for him. So it really was just like overall a good week for him. And not just because he sat back and let it happen. Like he was the one who kind of made his own destiny this week. So, and then for my Lisa Vanderpump of the week, I am going to choose Brittany. I love Brittany. I love that she's like the straight man in the house. I love that she's just constantly surrounded by chaos. And I think she could do so much more. Like she made the right moves. I mean, she saved herself from the block. She had the right reads in the sense of like, oh, it makes sense for Joey to stay for me. That makes me way more sense than keeping Devin. But she still voted the wrong way just because her alliance was. And I get it. I mean, it's still early. You have a majority alliance. You want to not rock the boat. But it's like, there really wouldn't have been many consequences if she just put her foot down and said, I'm going to keep Joey.
No.
Really. She's
and like
lucky.
What what are they gonna turn on her and
no
for her instead of like Zach or Donnie or Hayden
all
or
these other
whatever?
Major obvious threats? Like it would have been almost nothing for her to do that. And so it kind of, that's why she was kind of a shrug week, because the results were ultimately good for her, obviously, and she made some of the right moves, but she also made some moves where it's like, why are you just laying down and taking it? You don't have to. You have enough social leverage at this point that you can do more with your game. So that's why I want to see more from her. I think she's in a position where if she wants to kind of break out and do more and be more like Amber, where she's playing more for herself, play a little bit less scared, like a little bit less on the defensive, more on the offensive. Not too offensive like Zach, but more offensive. So that's why she's my LVP.
I also want to give Amber an honorable mention for my MVP. I did consider her briefly because this was a good week for her. And like Jackson and I talked about, I think I want to reiterate this just one more time. Like she's making like all these reads and all of this right moves with limited knowledge and limited like alliances and information flow because of the way that somehow she's ended up positioned this way. So I wanted to give her like a nod because I think she played really well.
Can
we not do this right now?
Okay, I'm just switching it over.
It's so
Hi,
trippy.
Mo.
No, it's so trippy because Jackson completely covered the entire Zoom with his like Adobe Illustrator stuff and was working on stuff while I was attempting to speak. And I was like, I can't.
I'm already prepping the Pokemon of the day. I updated the voting chart. I was in my own world.
So yeah, Sydney, if you want to take it away with trainer of the episode as well.
Our trainer of the week, to no one's surprise, is Hayden. I mean, Hayden deserves it. It's not like we're saying like, oh, we have to give to someone. I guess we'll give it to Hayden. It's like Hayden clearly deserves it, and also everybody else doesn't deserve it. Like there's just a brick wall between like, here's Hayden, brick wall, brick wall, brick wall, brick wall, everybody else.
Literally.
To some varying degrees.
Yeah.
So, and again, I won't reiterate because we've spent the whole podcast talking about it, but yeah, big major points. Hayden comes online at the right time, sees the landscape of the house, sees where the votes are, makes the right moves, talks to the right people, is really the one to bring everyone together and say, we have the votes, put your foot down, tell me what you're doing, be transparent. And that's essentially what gathers the votes together on the side where there is a clear power structure with a solid alliance on one side, and then a conglomerate of people with some overlapping interests on the other side. Yep. And it was really impressive that Hayden was able to take all those overlapping people and pieces and put them together essentially in one room and say, let's do this and make it happen. It was not easy. And he not only pulled that off to his own benefit and to his allies' benefit, but also, again, like I said, kind of erased the big misplay he had last week. And I mean, even if he hadn't done all of this and like, let's say Joey had left, he probably still would have had that erased because so many misplays were made this week by so many fucking people. But it helps that he kind of redeemed himself. So he is our trainer of the week.
Hell yeah.
I agree.
So we've gone through our MVPs and LVPs. We've deemed our trainer of the episode. The only thing left we have to do is take our rewind down memory lane and take a look at some of the past cycle 3s of Big Brother Rewind's history. I will say there are quite a few bangers in cycle 3 across the BB Rewind's lore as a whole. It tends to be a cycle where things kind of pop off.
Yeah, something's in the water.
Yeah.
During cycle
week 3, they get rid of the inactives and they're like, I need to play.
Yeah.
So
I think that people can taste juries close. It's not there, but it's starting to come into view, and they just start losing their fucking minds.
Yeah, true.
Yep.
Me and Shinx are about to have it out, and that's fine. So, cycle 3, BBR 15, second chances. Doomslayer, best friend and husband of Isabel.
Mm-hmm.
They are the rising duo. They are in an amazing place. They have the I'm Pasta Alliance. They have comp threats, they have social leverage, they have power. They're doing great. Cycle 3, Sunflower, aka Liam, wins HOH. Already not great. Sunflower has clocked the fact that there is an existing power structure. Sunflower was friends / semi-allies with like half the people in that alliance. Sunflower wants to take a shot at it. Sunflower is scared to do it. And who is Sunflower talking with in DMs?
Zelda. Okay, yeah, so it was the Zach and Donnie of it all was the Sunflower. And
yes, it's such a good parallel because yeah, Sunflower is HOH. Zelda is nominated as MVP by America / the spectators. And Zelda tells Sunflower. So they know that they have all the power at this point. They know that there's an alliance, the I'm Pasta Alliance, and they want to take a shot at it. They spend pretty much the entire time before nominations going back and forth about who to nominate, having like 7 mental breakdowns, having like a psychotic breakdown, going back and forth. Eventually, they nominate Doomslayer and Isabel. Doom is not the target. Sunflower has a vendetta against Isabel. That's the target. Zelda and Sunflower then further conspire, and they decide to nominate Tiny Kong as the MVP nominee. So there's 3 nominees, all I'm Pasta members. Tiny Kong, it's Hazel. Naturally, she wins POV. She takes herself off the block. They think, okay, who can we put on the block that won't leave against either Isabel or Doomslayer? Because they need one of them to leave now. They need the shot to go through, the bullet to get hit. And so they put up Sombra. Sombra is a huge social player. Sombra is very close with Isabel. Sombra has a lot of social leverage. It's by and large a good choice if you're trying to get out Doomslayer or Isabel.
Sombra, aka Blaze, who was on the last pod.
Long story short, the vote is down to minutes. It is a close fucking vote. I'm Pasta is trying to flip it to make Sombra go because Isabel and Doom are both in I'm Pasta. They might have the fucking votes. And guess who isn't going around campaigning wearing the vote? Guess who was actually telling people the night before, oh, I think Doom's leaving. Oh, I think Doom's leaving. Even though the votes were essentially there. Is it in the room with us? Oh, I think it was Shinx.
No, it's
Shink's
not.
playing
I-
Shinx. Shink's playing Shinx,
The
actually telling
votes
people the night
were
before.
not there.
Doom leaves in a close vote. I wanted to commit some acts of violence. R.I.P. Doom, forever in our brains and minds.
I do want to add, it was a 6-4 vote. It really did come down to Lara and
Shinx
Bandana
and Bandana
Waddle-Dee
Waddle-Dee.
and Shinx.
Fucking Bandana Waddle Flop.
And I
Bandana
have
fucking Waddle Flop.
to note that Bandana Waddle-Dee made an alliance with Shinx and Lara, very similar to the one that Amber made this cycle about the swings.
Different
The
function
flips.
though.
Called the flip.
Called the
that's
flips,
called.
yes. And it was basically Bandana Waddle-Dee telling Lara and Shinx that he was gonna vote for Doom. And then Lara and Shinx were like, I don't know. And then Waddle-Dee was like, okay, well, no.
No, what happened was
Yeah.
Waddle-Dee said, hey, who do you guys want to vote for? I think we should vote together because we'll be a strong partnership.
And we're the swing votes.
And we're the
Yeah.
swing votes. And Lara and Shinx go, oh, we think we want to keep Doom and vote out Sombra. And Bandana Waddle-Dee's like, well, that's not
No.
happening. So you guys better get your shit together.
Let me. I
And the
had a
rest is
moment,
history.
The rest is
but
history.
I will instead use this time to defend myself.
Shinx and Sydney then proceed to argue for the next 3 minutes.
From my perspective, my main focus was not saving Doom.
Respectfully, I wanted
That's
Doom
where
to
you're
stay.
wrong already.
But can I finish? I wanted Isabel to stay because Isabel was my number one. So I was like, whatever keeps Isabel out of the crossfire is my Shinx's personal priority. And when I realized she was going to stay no matter what, I'm like, perfect. Now, as I count the votes in my head and trying to figure out who's going where, I can see 24 hours ahead of time that it was not looking pretty good for Doom from my perspective.
Where I'm like,
You're
yeah,
wrong perspective.
I was in the game. I can't read their minds. Okay, that's crazy because you're in the majority alliance and you were everything everyone was telling you. It was 5 people. Also, it was 5 people and 3 of them had drawn the block that week. Yeah, who won the game?
Was it an
Doesn't
imposter
have-
member?
that
Yeah.
doesn't have anything to do with it.
The point is, the only people I truly trusted had 3 votes in a vote where you needed 6 to make something happen. We had 3, mind you. And at this point, I didn't know where anyone actually was, or like where the votes were going to fall. I'm like, hey, speaking of where the votes, did you wear your votes? Yes, in the last you did not. In the last, I distinctly remember some campaign slogan happening in the spec round. I literally didn't wear your vote.
For
I
everything
actually
I
remember
did,
your
so
number
did
one
she.
ally, Isabel, being mad at you in the game for not wearing your
For
vote.
not
For not wearing your vote. It actually was. It was Doom. It wasn't, and she lost it, so who gives a fuck? Anyways, the point is, it was not, because I counted bitch. Because I was going to say, I had my own relationships on the other side, that I needed to maintain as well, because guess what? You need connections to stay alive. I didn't know Allie.
Okay,
Yes.
so my favorite cycle 3
Yeah,
moments,
whatever.
I'm gonna hit a
I didn't do
couple of
anything
them
wrong.
'cause they're a little smaller and less in depth than that.
Mm.
But first, I want to talk about the spinoff that we just did. We did our own version of Reindeer Games with our
Rewind Your
BBR
Games.
family that we called Rewind Your Games. It was very fun. It was a lot more of a low stakes. A lot of just what you saw on the show. It was the same thing we do with normal Big Brother seasons, but with the reindeer games that just happened over Christmas. And I think cycle 3 of Rewind Your Games was a moment and a half in itself. So on that cycle, basically, instead of votes to evict, there are competitions to determine who goes home. And this particular cycle, there was a twist so that people were just going in one at a time for the elimination competition. And it's the same competition every time that you do, but the first person that goes in has the most time and the most chance of succeeding and winning safety for themselves.
and then it decreases by
And then,
it
yeah, it
keeps like-
decreases incrementally as you go. So it gets harder and harder the longer you wait to go. So, host of the pod and our dear friend Swan was in the power position that cycle. It was actually the 3rd time in a row that he had been in the power position. He'd won every single Jingle Bell
HOH,
Brawl
Jingle
up
Bell
until
Brawl.
that point, basically the head of household. And one of his closest allies was Anna, aka Hickstar. Anna was like, okay, well, I think I can do it if I have the most amount of time. So you need to send me in. That way I can finish it and I'll be safe and it'll all be great. Everyone loved Anna. Anna was at number 1 in the power rankings first 2 cycles. She was set up so well. Everyone was working with her. She was great. She goes in first. She has the most time and she fails immediately and is eliminated. Basically, the front runner of the season is taken out in cycle 3 because she couldn't do this snowflake maze in the max amount of time
After
given.
volunteering herself to go in.
And so our immediate reaction was, oh my God, did we make this too hard? Like, did we just like screw over Hick and do this? But we were very quickly made aware that that was not the case, because about half the cast immediately went into their submissions channels and did it in like 2 minutes. So very unfortunate, but it was a rather iconic moment and really one of the like standout moments of the season as a whole. So that was great. I keep bringing up the disaster that was Big Brother Rewinds 12, but it really just was a disaster so much that it's very memorable. So cycle 3 of Big Brother Rewinds 12 was famously on the show introduced with the Diamond Power veto. That also happened on ours. The Diamond Power veto was given as an option to the head of household, who was Brittany at the time. She was just shown a image of the Diamond Power veto. You would think anyone in their right mind would pick it, because they know what happened on the show, and you get the Diamond Power veto and you can use it to save yourself for however many weeks. She clearly did not get the memo on that, and she thought that it would turn the veto that week into the Diamond Power veto instead of her just getting it. So she declines the Diamond Power veto, just adds a shit cherry on top of the shit cake of the season, and then she proceeds to get backdoored the very next week. So I think it was poetic.
My favorite cycle 3 moment, the Ian of it all in BP3 Wines 14.
God.
So basically what happens, it's again, it's another yeah, it's like another like Zach Donnie situation where the vote's flipping back and forth and people kind of don't know what they're gonna do. It's who is it between? It's between Ian and, is it Jen?
Ian and
Ian
Danielle.
and Danielle.
Ian and
We
Danielle.
almost
Yeah,
lost
Hazel.
3.
Famous Hazel. Hazel could have gone out week 3 instead.
If Cheryl was not drunk at brunch, we lose Hazel week 3.
Yeah,
Literally.
Thank God for Cheryl.
So
Right.
Ashley, aka Cheryl, is like Ian's biggest ally, and somehow she gets drunk at brunch,
It was a
and
Sunday.
like the last one to vote
With Jen.
Jen.
It's yet another, the Zach and Donnie, the Sunflower, Zelda, the Ashley and Jen of it all.
Yeah, and orchestrates this like attempt to get Danielle out, but somehow she votes for Ian. It's the Zach and Donnie of it all, and votes out her biggest ally because she was so drunk that she like just voted out Ian, and Ian
Shane
goes home
Because the other votes were locked in. It was a very similar situation. Jen and Ashley, no matter the way those two voted, is who was going to go home. Bear in mind, this was also the cycle that Jen gave Ian the slide puzzle and said that if you can complete this slide puzzle in this amount of time, you will have my vote to stay. And
I
Ian
miss her
completed
so much.
Ian completed it in the time, and Jen still
still
voted.
voted to evict him. And so Ashley ends up voting out her biggest ally, Ian, by accident because she doesn't see the message that says they have the votes. And then votes out Ian, even though they had the votes 4-3.
So Ian's in his spec lounge. He's been in there for like a week. Jack, me, Jake, Shinx, I think everyone's on. And Ian comes on. Ian had actually called, when he realized he was getting evicted, he called someone in the house that was a female alt a cunt. Ian is a male in real life, a straight man. He deleted it later because he obviously knew it was wrong. So then this is just a week later. He's in spec lounge. We're all talking, and then suddenly he adds Jack, former previous owner / host Jack, and says, "Do you not like me? Why do you not like me?" And Jack is just like, "Well, I don't dislike you. I just think I disagree with some of your opinions about the house. And also, I don't really like that you use the word cunt." And then Ian got very defensive, even though he asked Jack why he was upset. Jack wasn't upset. So then they get in a fight, and then Ian starts saying things like, "Well, I thought this was an Australian server because I saw someone else use the word cunt." Blah, 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 blah. So then me and Jake get involved. We start fighting him.
They use this in Australia, so it's fine because this is an international server. Is what?
Yes. Yeah. And so, end of story. Me, Jake, Jack all fight him. He does not concede. He gets banned,
and thus cemented that Ian is canceled. Timeline.
And that's our podcast.
And that's the pod. Woo! We will see you guys next time, in which we discuss cycle 4 and see what all goes down. Thank you, everybody.
Mhm.
Bye.
Boom wasn't my fault.
Smooches.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.